Zombie Survival Channel. Dobbs and myself here, we're the host of a podcast and internet radio show called Slacker and Man Who Flyers up here if you would like one. This is our friend Kennison, and he's going to help us with the panel today. Who here likes zombie movies? Everybody likes a zombie movie, right?
If not, they wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
I like the slow ones, I like the fast ones.
Right.
That's because you're slow.
And if you have a question or comment during the panel, please feel free to let us know.
Also, who's hungover? I'm embarrassed for y'all. There's too few hands.
Yeah. But let's go through first and say that there are, as Lorenzo up here mentioned, there are several different types of zombies. That you should prepare for. And of course, this is all in tongue-in-cheek. We realize, as far as we know so far, zombies aren't real, but it is fun to think about what if and what you would do and how you would do it. And as the CDC proved last year, zombie survival is another good way to prepare for other natural disasters and whatnot like that. What's your favorite kind of zombie, Kennison?
I like the fast zombies. I know everyone likes the slow zombies and the classic zombies. I like your 28 days later, Zombieland, rage virus, fast zombies. Like Dobbs was saying, you get with the slow zombies, you get that psychological thing where they're just hoarding in on you, and I can't do that shit.
My favorite are the Romero zombies. While I would say the 28 days later style of the rage virus is probably, if there ever were to be any kind of zombie apocalypse, that would be the kind. So that's the more realistic.
Are they like the rabies or the
human
mad cow?
Some kind of mad cow.
Well, let's do that. Let's go over the different types of zombies. You have your Romero zombies, which are the undead. Those are the ones where when you die, if you don't die from head trauma or something that completely decapitates or incinerates the body, you come back as a mindless zombie. Then you have your rage zombies, which is your 28 days later, your Zombieland,
Dawn of the Dead
remake zombies. Then you have your voodoo zombies, which can be several different things. Voodoo zombies can be someone that is still alive, but they're under the effects of some sort of drug. What else? Another zombie on this.
Well, those border on reality.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where it all started. Was the Haitian voodoo zombies? The voodoo higher ups, the priest or whatever they call them, they would basically enslave people. They could do with blowfish venom, and they would form a sort of powder with it.
They would seem like they were dead.
Yeah.
They'd be buried, and then like in crypts above the ground, and then they would
they'd be like
come
that
back to life, and
they'd be like that for years.
mindless.
Would Resident Evil zombies be different from Romero ones? Because they're slow, but they don't want brains, they just want meat.
Yeah, the main difference in the Romero zombies and the Resident Evil zombies is the Resident Evil zombies are like a virus. You don't have to die to contract Resident Evil, if I remember right. You don't have to die.
But either get exposed to it with the aerosol or get bitten or scratched by one.
Right.
So that's like the 28 days later and all those too. This is a biological.
Yeah, that's your typical rage virus.
You're dead. You're brought back.
And occasionally you get one that mutates into a bigger monster.
Right. Well, that's the other thing with the Resident Evil. You're going to have your
lickers,
the dogs and the and then another kind of zombie that if you're into zombie stuff, I recommend a book called City of the Dead by an author named Brian Keene, and his is a little different. His zombies are demonic zombies. It's a whole thing where there's a specific set of demons that their only way to come back to Earth is through the bodies of deceased animals and humans. And it's a really good book. It's really creepy to think about because in that universe, not only do you have to worry about humans, but everything from a mouse to a deer to a dog to a tiger, any of that, they also come back as zombies in that book. Which that's really the only, that one and Stephen King's Cell are the only examples I can really think of, like the demonic zombies.
Also, there's some zombies in forms of literature, like Jonathan Mayberry's Patient Zero. For instance, the zombies that are created are kind of genetically, it's something built into them that they're kind of like the Lord in the sense that they're not trying to eat you, they're trying to infect you, and they're trying to grow their base. Yeah, and So it's not always about eating flesh and eating brains and whatnot. There are the
Are they all kind
replication.
of the same brain like before?
Yeah, kind of like ants. You know, they just try to propagate the species. They don't actually eat people. I mean, they bite them to infect them, but they don't try to eat them. You know, because then they wasted it. I mean, they don't have to eat for sustenance. So why do they? That was always like the weird thing about the Romero zombies. They don't need to eat to survive. So why do they eat?
Well,
Because it's scary.
Well, it's just that.
That's why.
You know, it's an instinctual thing, I think, is the main.
Yeah, that too.
They're running on just instinct.
But if they're ripping people's intestines out on film, it looks cooler than if they just bite you and then wait 8 hours for you to die.
Yeah.
Because, you know, everyone gets ripped apart. That's what I always wondered. In some of the Romero stuff, like everybody that you see get turned almost gets ripped completely to pieces. I mean, a few people get bit, they get away, but then like, how are there millions of zombies if they just rip everybody to pieces from the get-go?
Well, it's because a lot of them die and then they come back.
Right, but they don't show it. Everyone they actually show.
The script, that's how he.
But the main reason we're here today is to talk about zombie survival for if the zombies do rise and you're faced with that situation, you know what and how you should do it. Does anybody here have a zombie survival plan they thought out?
And friends.
One of the biggest things you can do for completely free is to just have a plan in place. You know, think about what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, who you're going to do it with. Because you know, even more, the only thing more important than your plan and your equipment and supplies is who you're with during the zombie apocalypse. Because the people you're with can get you killed quicker than anything else. So let's start off with what should be in your bug-out bag. You know, your bug-out bag is a bag you should have ready at a moment's notice that you can take, and you should have at least 2 weeks worth of supplies in your bug-out bag. That's food, which MREs are pretty cheap. You know, the military meal ready to eat, those are pretty cheap, and they contain everything that you know, nutritionally. They contain everything you need. MREs are calorically dense enough you could actually eat one of those a day and be okay.
And they last for, what's the shelf life on, like 4 or 5 years?
Yeah,
it's longer than that. It's
Yeah, they're
12.
Yeah,
it's a long
They're
I
time.
knew it was several years.
And you know, something else you have to think about, something we were talking about before the thing is some way to purify water, a water source, you know. The iodine tablets are pretty cheap. That's a very, very effective way to purify water.
Because carrying water is problematic on the weight.
Yeah, water's heavy. Not to mention water can become stagnant carrying it with you. Medical supplies. Now, Kennison, who's up here with us, he is a paramedic, right? He is a working paramedic, so that's part of the reason he's up here, just to let us know. As far as your first aid kit for your bug-out bag, what's the necessity for that?
Pretty much anything you get in a first aid kit, if you can get them online, any sort of wilderness survival first aid kit is going to have pretty much everything in it you need. You need, obviously, you know, bandages, stuff to sterilize wounds with. Everyone thinks suture kits. Oh, I need sutures in case, you know, we get a cut or something like that. Nobody knows how to suture a wound unless, you know, you've been trained. Surgical staples are a much better option because you literally you pinch the wound, you staple.
What about glue?
You can use super glue. Super glue was invented for on the battlefield. They would run a strip of super glue on you, pinch it together. It's not the most sterile thing to do. I don't recommend it unless it's life or death, but it works.
Your fingers away.
Yeah.
It's highly recommended by backyard wrestlers.
If you can get a hold of antibiotics are a great thing to have. If you raid a CVS or any sort of pharmacy, any sort of Cillins, ampicillin, penicillin, amoxicillin, anything like that, Keflex, vancomycin, any sort of antibiotic is always a good thing to have because people are going to get sick. It happens.
One of the things, let me add to that, one of the things I would recommend in a bug-out bag is solar chargers or the wind-up chargers for these now, and you can put, as far as holding information goes. I mean, obviously they'll be useless when the networks go down, internet and cell networks go down. But how many books can you load onto a phone or a tablet? Like he was talking about. Because if you're like me, you're not a medical professional. From what he said, I know if it says seal it, you want to steal it. But beyond that, you can have a book on on the medications you would need, how to suture a wound, on how to purify water, all that kind of stuff. So a phone, your phone or your tablet, to have something in your bug out bag, a way to charge it beyond, plugging it in the wall, a solar charger, a wind-up charger, something like that. And you can put enough books, survival books, and books that would be useful to you when everything collapses.
Hey, Kennison, I was hearing that animal medications are still completely usable by humans.
Absolutely.
And a CVS is going to be wrecked full of people, but the pet store down the street's not.
Got it.
So I was told
But
to hit the pet store first.
Well, but if you go to like Petco or Pet Supermarket, you're not going to find stuff like you're going to you want to hit a vet's office. Some of the things you have to be careful though with the veterinary stuff though is antibiotics you're probably going to find under the same name, but a lot of medications that are for animals are the same medications they give to people, but it'll be under a different name. So you might look at something and go, I have no idea what the hell this is. So now, is it something that's good for you that's going to be, like an antibiotic or a painkiller, or is it something that's going to kill you? Because it could be something that's good for euthanasia. You never know. Now you're like, oh,
Take this, here, take 3.
All right, so that's a little bit about the medical side of it. Let's move on to everybody's favorite topic of it is in your bug out bag. Now this isn't just for the zombie apocalypse in general, but your bug out bag weapons. I would definitely recommend, we'll get to firearms in a minute, but above and beyond firearms, as far as some kind of melee weapon, I would recommend, because, well, the bad thing with a melee weapon is you have to get close to use it, which isn't always a good thing, but it's good to have because it doesn't run out of bullets. But something else with the melee weapon is you can also get something that's a useful tool as well as a weapon. It doesn't have to be just, everybody wants to say a chainsaw or a sword or, something like that.
Chainsaws work on gas, which is better than in your vehicle.
Right, exactly. But, something like a hatchet, an axe, a crowbar, a pry bar, even a hammer.
Who here has read World War Z, the Max Brooks book, World War Z? In World War Z, they were talking about the Lobo, which was a trench spade.
Yep, that's
So
a
now
trench spade they put a spike on.
You have a trench spade, which is a shovel. A lot of them have a saw on them. You can use it for a breaching tool, and you can use it to kill zombies. So now you have 4 uses
Facts about that.
for the.
Yeah, and they fold up, they're
small. So now you have one thing that doesn't take up a whole lot of space that you have four or more uses for. So digging holes to poop in, so you're keeping the waste away from you.
Or even if you want to go like that is a fictional thing. People didn't make it, but I mean,
There's a guy working on that, right? I saw him on Doomsday Preppers. He's actually making.
There's another company that made a multi-tool that was similar, but it actually had more stuff. I can't remember what it's called offhand. I haven't bookmarked it.
You can get like a survival knife also.
Yeah, something like a survival knife is a good.
Fishing hook.
But anything that is used by the military is generally going to be good because it's always, they try to get the most value they can out of weight because they carry so much as it is. So anything that they carry is going to do multiple things. So even their knives, are made to pry stuff with K-bars and whatnot.
Those Swiss Army knives, they have those huge ones now that have like 100 different tools.
Yeah, something like that.
And
You
they're
never know what you're
enormous
going to
and
get. That's the thing about the zombie apocalypse. You're not going to be able to run down to Ace Hardware or Walmart and buy the tool you need for the job. So you're going to have to be able to carry something that's, feasible to carry in your sack, but has a lot of options too. And then as far as for your bug out bag of firearm goes, you can't beat a 22 caliber rifle for your bag. Number one, 22 caliber is quiet. The ammo is very easy to get. You can get, I think right now, 500 rounds of 22 caliber ammo, 22 long rifle ammo is about, what, $10 now?
It was $11 when I bought it.
Was it?
Yeah.
How long does ammo last? Does it have an expiration?
Most of the time, no. As long as it doesn't get wet, as long as it's not contaminated, it's got pretty good shelf life.
Well, like my ammunition at home, what I've done is I've got it sealed inside of a plastic bag that I vacuum seal.
Yes,
That'll
yes.
keep your moisture out.
Yeah,
keep your
because that's the thing.
debris.
As long as you store it cool, as long as you store it dry, that stuff will last almost forever.
Yeah, yeah. Ammo's pretty good about that. As long as, like you said, as long as it's fairly cool and dry, ammo will last. You know, I've never had ammo go bad just from sitting there.
They find stuff, you'll see stuff on like pawn sites and stuff like that. They're bringing in rifles from the 1800s that have ammunition in them that still fire.
They still fire, yeah.
From the 1800s, so.
But a 22 long rifle, you can get. And number one, the other thing is the actual rifle itself is cheap. You can get a nothing fancy, no frills 22 long rifle for $120, $130 if you buy it brand new. Used, you can probably pick one up for $50, $75 somewhere. And like I said, a handgun. Handguns are good. It's just your range is the biggest thing.
And also, if you get a 22 pistol, my Welter 22, which I sold because I hated it, second round on every magazine would jam.
Okay.
Every single time.
And that's
now, if you got
All I
someone,
have right now is handguns, that's why
if
I'm
you got
asking.
someone that's inexperienced with a firearm and they're thinking just, pull the trigger and it's going to fire, they pull the trigger the second time, nothing happens. Now if you get someone that doesn't know how to clear a jam, they're dead.
And that's another good point.
You need a good wheel gun.
Beyond
That's what I have.
beyond what you have in your bug out bag, any firearm you think you're going to want to use in a zombie apocalypse, the biggest thing is practice, practice, practice. Get to know that gun. You can never put too many rounds to that gun. If you don't know somebody that knows how to teach firearms, take a class. You can find classes. Most gun ranges and have classes. Gun shows, if you don't know where a gun range is at, gun shows we're in Florida. Gun shows are everywhere. There's classes at the gun shows.
Or just find your local redneck.
Or find your local redneck. We're in Florida. There's a redneck somewhere that can show you how to shoot a gun. But be familiar with your gun. Know what kind of ammo it takes. Because there are some guns that can take multiple types of ammo. A 357 can take 38 special. But you can't put 357 in a 38 special.
He's talking about 357 revolvers.
Yeah, Magnum.
Not like a 6 hour that shoots 357.
Yeah.
We're camping.
But get to know what kind of ammo it takes, how to clear it if it's jammed, if it malfunctions, how to fix it. That's one of the things you probably want on your tablet or your phone is a manual for whatever firearm you're going to be using. Yeah, gunsmith and manual.
What do you feel about bows?
A bow's a good choice if you're
really
Not
good.
If you're
bows.
proficient with it.
That's the thing with a bow. A bow takes a lot, and unless you're one of those people that's just naturally proficient with a bow's not something you can point and shoot.
And you get tired.
Yeah.
Crossbows are better.
Crossbows are better for that end.
Take a little
Crossbows.
longer to load, but they're better.
They take a little longer to load, but you can also manufacture your own ammunition for them fairly easily.
And your ammunition is reusable.
And that's one thing you want to think about with the firearm.
It's also
Making your own
silent.
ammo, right?
Virtually.
The firearms too. You want to think about the caliber of it because some calibers are more easily obtained than others. Your 9mm, your 223, and your 22 are going to be your best bet as to be able to obtain ammunition. Glock makes a gun called 45 gap. It's an excellent gun, but if you're in a zombie apocalypse, it's hard enough to find ammo for it.
That's how it works.
You sold that gun.
I did, man, I loved it.
But yeah, like I said, your 9mm, your 22, your 223, those are going to be your most easily obtained
Or
ammo.
standard, you say about 45 Colt.
45 is not bad. Yeah, that's
The problem you run into
Very
with
loud.
45 is they're loud.
Well, no, I understand that, but I mean, if you're talking about availability strictly, I mean, if you have a 45 and you don't have a 9mm, 45 Colt at least is popular. Nobody buys it.
40 is getting a lot more popular too because a lot of law enforcement is switching from 9mm to 40.
Yeah.
So when you find your dead cops, you can
Another thing about that is
It's like what you find out when you said this.
carrying medical guns to get heavy.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is with your bug out bag, with whatever you're carrying, you've got to still be able to move.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons why I spent 9 years in the Army as a paratrooper. And we had our 72-hour pack, but we also had our assault packs, which was your big rucksack. Had everything you needed to survive for 3 days, and although usually ended up being closer to 7. And then you had your assault pack, which was just your basics, your medical, your ammo, maybe your communication devices. Because that's the thing is, and again with zombies, that's one of your big advantages is you can move, they can't.
Right.
So you don't want to weigh yourself down, and ammo and water both get real heavy,
real quick.
That's why the 22
that's what
species you can carry a brick of 550 rounds of 22 ammo weighs less than a pound.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, I've got a Smith & Wesson MP15 that I've got all tricked out. And I love that because the nomenclature is exactly the same as the M4 that I carried in the Army. So I can take that thing apart and put it back together blindfolded. I've even got it set up with the same optics that I had in the Army.
Well, and that's the thing. That's another thing is the ability to clean your weapon, because that's if you don't have a gunsmith or the ability to replace that weapon easily, you need to keep it clean. You need to keep it free from debris. Keep it oiled. Make sure everything's, because a lot of times with guns you can tell the problem's coming if you know what you're looking at. You know how to disassemble it, field strip it. You know what you're looking at. Sometimes you can see, that piece isn't sitting just right now. If I don't do something about it, then it's going to leave me in a pinch.
When you start seeing that crack up the slide, that's bad.
Yeah, that's a bad thing. When you see that crack up the slide, that's a real bad thing.
What about shotguns?
Shotguns are very effective for three things. For crowd of zombies, if you're faced with a whole crowd. For hunting purposes, because you don't have to be a good shot to kill something with a zombie. And for attracting lots of other zombies.
Reaching a door. That's about. I wouldn't do it personally because your range is limited.
Ammo is very heavy.
Rounds take up a lot of space.
They're
for what they are.
But now as far as though,
Are you talking about encumbrance or weight though? Because
both.
shotgun shells aren't really.
But shotgun shells are big.
Yeah. But now as far as once you find somewhere to hold up, as far as the defense, the interior of where you're holding up, you're not going to get better than a shotgun. Because if you've got either a human, because that's the other thing, you're going to have to defend your position from not only the undead, but other people who want what you have. If you're shooting down a hallway, you're not going to get any better with a shotgun. You don't have to aim. You point it down that hallway.
You're going to cover that whole hallway.
You're going to cover the hallway. So as far as internal defense goes, once you hold up somewhere, you can't beat a shotgun.
Well, with the shotgun too, the same thing with your long gun. If you have that long gun instead of a pistol, even if you run out of ammo, you can turn it around and you can still use it as a club.
You have a club at that.
So you have, pistol, you got to get pretty up close and personal to pistol whip somebody or, a zombie. With that long gun, you at least got some range.
And that's, that actually brings up another good point. You always see in movies where people hold up. Everybody wants to go, of course, because of the movies, the mall. Everybody wants to hold up at the mall. Walmart.
Dude, that mall had a gun store.
That mall didn't. Has anybody ever been to a mall with a gun store other than a video game or a movie?
No, the gun store was like across the street.
This was like.
One of the malls in Miami has a
Brand,
Bass Pro Shop.
Dicks.
Okay,
They
so
sold weapons.
so
They had ammunition.
that's true.
But Walmart does too, so yeah.
Yeah, but
Depending on what Walmart.
in reality, though, places like that, your malls, your Walmarts, your police stations, your military bases, there's going to be horrible places to go because everybody and their brother, that's where they're going to want to go.
Well, now The Walking Dead screwing up your plan with prison.
Yeah, and that's always been my plan was the prison, because prisons are designed, to keep people in, not just that,
people out.
but they also have supplies. They have their own generators, they have their own armory, they have their own food stores, they
medical supplies.
Most of them have their own water supply. They have farms. A lot of them raise their own beef and vegetables now and fruit now. So I mean, they're really, and of course now the TV shows come out and everybody's going to want to go to a prison. So
If you're going to go to a prison, you got to make sure you go to a prison, not the county jail. Because
Yeah,
the
that's
county jail is not going to have a lot of things that he's talking about. Like I know the Orange County Jail, I respond to a lot of work, and they don't have a farm. I'm sure they have generators, but they don't have, they don't make their own water.
well, and also your county jail is usually going to be close to town. Your prisons, state prisons, are going to be out
Out in the middle of nowhere. The county jails aren't as fortified as the prisons are either. Like if you go out to Coleman in Suffolk County, big federal prison system is a bitch thing in that place.
But think about one of the things is to think about where you would go. Where Dobbs and I live, phosphate mines are a big deal, and they have these big drag lines that they use to dig the phosphate out. And these things are basically big mobile buildings. And these things are huge, and they're probably 30, 40 feet in the air. Over the, the tracks are a good 20, 30, 40 feet before you actually get up into it. And then they have, with the guys that work on those drag lines, they spend all day in the drag lines. So there's a break room, a little office, and all that good stuff. So something like that's not bad, because your zombies aren't going to be able to get up there. And you'd be able to see forever.
And they stockpile every kind of fuel source you can think of.
Yeah.
Natural gas, gasoline, diesel fuel. They've got everything.
So something like that's not a bad idea.
Even if you wanted to make that,
Well, I'm just saying, when you rebuild, you gotta keep up, stay awake. I'm not saying you use it, but
I see.
barter with it.
I read an article online the other day. A guy was talking about his plan for the zombie apocalypse was a storage shed, or not storage shed, but a storage unit. One of the ones that's in a big long line of other storage units, because he said he could fortify it. It's only got one way in and one way out. It's close to town, but it's not in town. So when he needed supplies, he could sneak in and out. And it's not an obvious place people are going to come and look for the people or supplies.
Every time you open that door.
Yeah.
Well, but if you open that door too, you got to open those rolling doors. You got to open those,
at least that much.
Well, and I thought about that too. But if you're there, and you have the time, and the area is relatively clear, you could, come up with some other way to, you could come up with a way to get out the roof.
Yeah.
That kind of.
You're gonna
Also, you get an interior one,
Yeah.
where you could rig the door, because it's a normal door to get into the thing.
Exactly.
Rig the door with like an alarm system at least, once you get in.
Well, all those indoor buildings already have an alarm system on them anyway. So if you still have power to the building, the alarm, it's not going to call the company, but the alarm will sound.
I'm sure Breaks is probably real worried about chickens. Now, something else you should think about to go along with his medical stuff he was talking about earlier is if you have a medical condition you take medication for. You may want to look into natural ways to. It may not be as good as taking the medication, but I know we used to have a guy on the show that was horrible diabetic, and every once a year in October we always do a full episode of our show on zombie survival. And his thing was, I'm dead. Once the zombie survival hits and zombie apocalypse hits and that insulin's gone, I'm dead. And we actually had somebody research and send us a thing how you could actually get artificial or natural insulin from pigs to take if you're diabetic and help you live. So stuff like that.
I think the shelf life was only, 2 years?
Yeah, on insulin, the commonly available commercial insulin now, the shelf life's only 2 years.
Well, you have to be careful too with insulin. Now, I don't know if there's any diabetics in here, but I'm sure if there is, they can attest to it. A lot of insulin needs to be refrigerated.
Right.
So if you don't have a way to refrigerate that insulin, you're screwed. So you might need to switch from regular insulin to something maybe like Humulin or Novolin, which doesn't have to be refrigerated. And a lot of those now are coming in the pens that you have like a month's supply in something this big.
But what's the shelf life on that?
About 2 years.
About 2 years.
But I mean, in 2 years you can learn how to get insulin out of pig.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're asthmatic or have diabetes or something along those lines, before anything happens, research. How you can use what's available to you to help you live. Because like I said, it may not be perfect. It may not work as well as your medicine does. But being able to half breathe is better than not being able to breathe at all.
Yeah,
What if the pigs are all zombies?
Then you're gonna
Well,
get
I would not
zombies.
take the insulin from them.
yeah. Depending on the medical condition you have, you could always look into like more holistic medicine, like the Chinese herbal things. I know there's a lot of that for diabetes.
Yes.
Well, and a lot of things too. If your diabetes isn't too horrible, a lot of it you can control with your diet. So you're not going to be, sucking down sodas and drinking beer when you're running from zombies. So your blood sugar's probably not going to spike real high anyway. And then if your blood sugar drops too low, you're fucked anyway. So there you go, you got zombie baby.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And another thing, to think about with zombie survival is who you want with you in your group. Once the zombie apocalypse hit, it is not the time to be PC. You only want with you who is going to help you survive. If it's somebody that
Like
She's
Yeah,
gone.
She's big. Carl was ballistic, take him out.
Oops, Carl fell.
Shane was a dick, but he was.
Yeah.
Bring him along.
He was in
Rolling with it.
But and you know, you need to think about yourself when your role would be in the group. You know, if you don't have any particular skill or knowledge that
You
would
might
make
wanna
you
learn
useful to
You
the
have
group.
other tangible skills you can use. It's okay.
And it can be something, it can be as simple as, you know, stuff you can watch YouTube to learn, you know, carpentry, gunsmithing,
I
how
can
to
sew.
cooking, how to sew, how to cook, how to work leather.
I can work with
Scavenging.
Yeah, butcher, meat processing, you know, how to butcher meat, you know, that's a big thing. And that's something you want to learn anyway is whatever area you live in, what plants are safe to eat and not eat. You know, here
Well, I'm going to your house, bro, and it's good.
here in Florida, we're very blessed because there's a lot of farms, and there's also a lot of natural fruit and vegetables you can eat. Florida, one thing a lot of people that don't spend any time in the woods don't know is mustard greens. Mustard greens grow wild in Florida, and they grow everywhere. Your cow pastures and whatnot like that. You may not have hot sauce, but they do grow wild. But yeah,
you got a lot of wildlife in Florida too. You got hogs, you got deers, you got snakes, you got frogs, you got gator, and it's not something you might want to eat, but
Yes, awesome.
American stars.
yeah. So I mean, and that's the thing, you know, with killing game. Almost any game is edible. You know, I mean, there's very few things that if you eat it wrong, it's going to kill you. Now, if you're trying to eat the Japanese blowfish, then if you don't, I wouldn't recommend that in the zombie apocalypse.
Don't eat anything that can kill you.
But and I know it's gross and all, but watch some videos on how to, if you kill game, because there is one specific way to clean something that works for almost any game type. You know, it's the same set of moves to take the same basic parts.
And a lot of times too, if you're cleaning an animal and you do it wrong, which I mean I don't know how to, but if you're cleaning a deer and you don't know what you're doing and you nick that intestinal tract, now you got fecal matter and bacteria in your whole meat supply is contaminated. Also too, I'm sure you know, if you don't bleed the animal completely and let it sit for 24 hours, you have to wait. After you bleed them or whatever, you get sick.
But there are obviously killing animals and getting meat is not going to be like okay. But no, because I usually clean, you know, whatever it is, I usually clean it right after we kill it. So I mean, it's
how long does it need?
we cooked it as soon as we cooked it as we finished it. You know, so. But yeah, you know, something like that. Just be aware of how to do that. And like I said, your local vegetation, what you can and can't eat. Vegetation is a little trickier than game because you know there's certain berries and plants.
Some leaves look alike.
Yeah, things that look alike, you know, that you could eat that can make you sick or kill you. You know, nightshade's one of the big things here in Florida. Nightshade grows well, and it has little berries on, or there's things with berries on it that if you eat, you could die easily. So.
Is it painless? Because you might want that at some point.
There are plants you can concoct. They easily make a concoction if you so choose to go that way.
I recommend from all the suicide attempts that I've gone to, I recommend a good bullet right in the side of the head.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
There's nothing worse than a failed suicide attempt. Then you're jacked up.
You know, hey, side or mouth.
If you're gonna go into the mouth, you gotta go in the mouth and you gotta point up so you get that soft part of your mouth.
Yeah.
If you go like this and you flinch, you're gonna go either out the side
Yeah.
or you blow your jaw off.
That's really zombie thing. This is kind of morbid.
Really? What is that?
Just say it.
Just
Say it. Don't fuck this up.
Another thing you want to think about beforehand is transportation. You know, there's not going to be a gas station over. Now, there'll still be gas stations, and there could still be gas at the gas stations, but you can't depend on that forever. And gas can go bad. So, I mean, that's something else you have to think
It
about.
settles.
Yeah.
What's it shelf life?
Used to work at.
It depends on the, I don't know for sure, but I also know it depends on how it's stored.
Depends on the octane rating.
Yeah, the octane and how it's stored.
Leave gasoline in a lawnmower unused for 8 months and see what happens.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with a car.
Yeah.
You have a car sitting in the garage for a year, and you try and crank it up.
Now they make tablets you can put into the gas tank,
Yeah, to get that stagnant.
but
But the optimal thing to do is to have a mode of transportation that doesn't require gasoline, obviously. Now, some cars can be converted to run on ethanol, which you can produce if you have the supplies.
They got Ford makes a vehicle now. I saw it on what's that car show?
Top Gear.
Top Gear. It was a Ford F-350, which you can pack a lot of people and a lot of supplies in. It ran on diesel. It had a 45-gallon diesel tank, and then in the back it had a 30-pound compressed natural gas tank in it as well. So if you ran out of diesel, you could switch over to that natural gas. So people are going to be a lot of people are going to be trying to get that fuel from the gas station, but your average person might not be thinking about, oh, let's hit up Ace Hardware or U-Haul for the propane.
And they Dodge made for several years. Dodge actually made work trucks that ran on propane.
Did they?
And they used to make tractors. As a matter of fact, before diesel
forklifts
became...
all run on propane.
The Duke was made to run off moonshine.
Yeah, you can't. Well, that's the other thing. You can't make a vehicle run off of that.
But all cars are either electric or propane too.
Yes.
All the taxes in Vegas are propane.
I know that.
I didn't know that.
But
Look at low bring something
Taxes.
But you've also got your bicycle, which comes with its own set of restrictions. If you're traveling on a road or through a town, bicycles are great, it's fine. You are restricted as to what you can carry on it. And then if you try to go off road, I don't know how many of you have ever tried to ride a bicycle through a swamp. It doesn't work.
You see that guy 8 months worth of shit packed.
Well, now that's true. But
Yeah, but it's just cans, dude. It's not.
You're very vulnerable to attackers.
But then again, it is
not a whole lot of.
it is silent and it is powered by you. So as long as you can get the bike, you can get
Don't bend that river. Pop that tires.
Get an original moped, actually. I know they're lame and everything,
But you get 70 miles to the gallon on.
or you can, and I mean an actual moped, but with pedals. Because, like word moped, it's supposed to be, it has an engine or pedals. A lot of people use the word moped to describe a scooter, which is a different, like a Vespa. It's not a moped. A moped actually has pedals.
Yeah, moped is low-ride bicycle. Low-ride.
Like the movie Hot Rod, that's a moped. They're a bitch to pedal. I pedal them. They're a lot.
But you have that option.
You have the option of gasoline or pedal.
If they're meant to be pedaled, they find a way to keep pushing.
Another good, if you're proficient in riding them, a horse is not a bad option. If you do not know how to ride a horse, I do not recommend you try to get one if you've never ridden a zombie apocalypse, because that's not going to work.
I've been thrown twice out of 3 rides.
Horse. If something happens to that horse, now you got food.
You can't eat the horse. Everybody goes, oh, but you can. Horses
But it will interfere with your tetanus shots.
Yeah,
Well,
also,
the zombie apocalypse, you're probably not going to worry about
Tetanus is kind of a big deal.
Well, I thought you get the tetanus shot.
No, I'm saying.
No, that medication on it.
the thing
Right,
though,
but-
if you're going to eat horse, the thing you got to be careful with too is horse is very high in iron. So if you eat too much of it, your red blood cell count's going to go up, your iron count's going to go up. The red blood cells are going to get, your blood is going to get thicker from the red blood cells, and it hurts. Blood is horse.
Because you're more delicious.
Where the guy.
Yeah, right. I'm not gonna season myself.
He'll end up dying because all he ate was meat.
The thing with a horse, though, is, they're pretty self-sufficient. They can live off grass, moss, oats, stuff like that. They're going to eat and drink whatever's around. Now, you do have to think, if you're holed up trying to hide somewhere, that horse is not going to know how to be quiet, so you do have that. But a horse, you could go a lot further on a horse in the day than you could go on a bicycle. A horse can go through rough terrain. A horse is a good early warning system. Horses' sense of smell and hearing is amazing. Their vision's not real good, but their hearing and smell is amazing. So and they're probably going to be spooked by something like a zombie. So they would be a good early warning system if you are hidden.
Well, and you got two. If you're being chased by zombies and you're on a horse, that horse is going to get spooked and it'll probably rear up and kick one of them. And if you've ever been kicked by a horse,
It hurts.
it's gonna knock you down.
They used horses for warfare for a reason.
Well, there's a reason. There's still a reason that modern law enforcement uses horses for crowd control now.
Well, you get that horse and push him right up against the building. You ain't moving that horse.
But, and not to mention, this sounds morbid to say as well, not to mention if you are being chased by a horde, if you can get off that horse and away from that horse, they're going to stop and eat the horse before they come after you. That's a meal, so that may be your split second to be able to get away. And a horse, too, carrying capacity. Horses can carry a lot of weight. You know, they
high ride horses.
yeah, see,
They can carry low, they can carry
but as far as being able to carry, you know, yourself and your supplies, horses can carry a lot of weight.
Well, you can get cheap and hook up carts.
Yeah, you can have a wagon or a wagon or a
cart.
But, you know, it's something like I said to think about. If you're going to go that route, you need to think about, you know, research and learn about the horses, about their health, about, you know, common ailments with them. Horses are pretty tough animals, but they have some common ailments that if you don't know what you're looking at or looking for, can jack them up pretty quick. You know, they can get parasites. They can get parasites. They can get if they're eating grass too close to the ground, they get what you call sanding, which is when they get sand in their intestinal system, and that can kill them within a matter of a couple of days if you don't know how to treat it.
From the ticks, sugars, stuff that's going to eat you too.
Taking care of their feet is a big deal with horses because they basically have one big toenail, and then the soft spot is underneath it. So you have to know how to keep that clean and keep that trim. I would recommend against shoeing your horse. Shoeing horse is only good if you're going to spend a lot of time in concrete. The zombie apocalypse, though, with the lack of supplies.
No, not necessarily true. Reason for a shoe is so that it elevates the hoof up above where small rocks would get.
Yeah, if you're in a mountainous area or something like that as well, that is very true. But the thing is, unless you're going to be in an area that is gravelly and stuff like that, where you're going to run the risk of getting something, they call it the frog of the hoof, but if you're going to be somewhere where you run the risk of that. But you need to know how to shoe a horse, how to reshoe a horse, how to do all that.
And how to make a shoe.
Yeah, right? So, you know, that's something to think about.
Horses don't just wear Nikes.
No.
You know, I was thinking that too.
They do for the miniature horse. Yes.
Yeah, but that defeats the purpose.
Well, maybe in the zombie apocalypse, I want my horse like a pimp. He needs some Jordans. just because it's zombie apocalypse doesn't mean I don't need to, you know, try to.
That's true. Does anybody have any questions about anything we've talked about so far? Any? Yes.
A lot of this stuff reminds me of fallout shelters.
Yes.
You know, you pack up your water. Do you think people enjoy being afraid, or they enjoy feeling like they're doing something?
That's why Revelation is the biggest book of the Bible.
Yeah, that's that's the reason zombies are so popular. That's the reason during the Cold War. That's part of the. I mean, people were legitimately scared we were going to be bombed by the Russians at the time, but. That's the reason the whole 2012 thing is taking root and as big as it is.
Well, and not so long ago, last year, you had that guy screaming about the rapture.
Yeah, the rapture. And
you have people killing their kids and committing suicide.
A few years ago, the Hale-Bopp bombing, Y2K. You know, how many survival kits got sold online for Y2K? I survived Y2K without one.
Yeah. I survived mine on whiskey and beer.
You think people like to feel like they're doing something, there's something they can't do because
if they have an impending doom that they think they know is coming or could be real, and they can prepare for it, it gives them a sense. I think it gives them a sense of being in control of their fate. Even though this thing may be coming that they can't control, they can at least control their part in it, their fate, during the fallout of it.
which is
People like security too. That's why you have insurance companies like Lloyd's of London that will sell you. Well, but that's like you have Lloyd's of London that'll sell you insurance on damn near anything you want, and people buy it because people naturally are afraid something's going to happen. You want the security.
Lloyd's will be kaput after this.
Yeah, I know. But I'm saying that's you have people in general. So people, as a species, we like security. That's why you have shows like Doomsday Preppers. Al's Army Navy over in Altamont has a fallout shelter outside in their parking lot that you can take a tour of, and then you can have the company come out and put one in your house. Yeah. They'll come out and they'll dig it and sink it just like a septic tank.
But they're useless.
Well, but you gotta think too that
it's your own sense of security.
Well, you also have shelter too. Not only for tornadoes, but if you have think too, with everyone scared about the economy and everything, if you have some sort of financial collapse and we go into martial law, and you have people raping, looting, and pillaging, if you're in that fallout shelter,
first.
the average person isn't going to come digging in your backyard looking for your fallout shelter.
And that kind of brings up something that I think is just so funny about the whole zombie thing right now. I have friends of mine who never in a million years would put together a hurricane kit, just wouldn't cross their mind. But they have the most in-depth zombie kit you will ever imagine.
A lot of my zombie kit is from my hurricane.
Well, that's,
kit.
that's the reason a couple of years ago the CDC released the official zombie preparedness thing,
Yeah.
And that was why, because that can be translated, your zombie survival kit can be translated to hurricanes,
Well,
to floods,
on the
to
very bottom of it, it said this is also useful in the event of, and they listed a bunch of natural disasters.
Yeah.
I've got a big thing of
Survival,
duct tape in
survival.
here for survival and for the raping.
Well, you can't have them screaming again.
all right. Any other questions about anything we said? Yes, ma'am.
What was your first zombie movie that you saw?
My first zombie movie I saw was actually the first George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. The original black and white. That was and that's still, to me, to this day, the end-all, be-all of zombie. If I didn't list my top 3 zombie movies of all time, I definitely have to go. The original Night of the Living Dead, Zombieland. I'm a big fan of Zombieland. And then...
Shaun of the Dead.
I'm going to go I think I would actually have to go 28 Days Later for my third one.
That was scary.
What's your top 3 zombie movies?
My top 3, Zombieland's in there, definitely. I like the Resident Evil franchise.
I do too.
I mean, it's not necessarily zombie, but it's zombie. And 28 Days Later.
28 Days Later?
Yeah. I like the fact
Night of the Living. Dawn of the Dead remake.
That was good.
The Dawn of the Dead remake was a good film.
Probably one of the best remakes I've ever
That's
seen.
number 4 on the list.
Probably.
Thank you very much.
28 Days Later.
I mean, I love Zombieland, but I wouldn't.
I would have. I like that, but I wouldn't follow it.
Yeah, but Zombieland was good because it was a comedy. It was a comedy, but then it also had every other aspect of a good zombie movie that you need in
No, it
it.
didn't. I love it.
Even Twinkies.
And come on,
Not
Snowballs.
Snowballs.
My favorite movie character of all
Because it's
time.
Gina.
Well,
I don't think you have the Twinkie fetish.
He's even trying to get to Florida.
well, have you seen the thing online where if you freeze frame it?
No, that's not true.
That's not true? Okay. Well, there was a thing going around online for a while where they're in the grocery store and
the box of
zombie with the banjo, and it shows a box of Twinkies on the shelf.
What about zombie strippers?
But
No,
what's that?
that was not good.
That's the one with Jim James.
I've seen some zombie strippers.
Where the main character was wondering why everybody was looking at Deadpool funny and stuff.
Now, I tell you a good movie a lot of people haven't heard about if you like zombie movies. There's a movie called Fido. Has anybody heard of Fido? Fido is a fantastic movie. And that movie is really good. And it's at first glance, it's just a good movie, but then when you actually watch it, you get to thinking about it, it's a lot deeper than
It's Leave It to Beaver with zombies.
Yep.
Leave It to Beaver with zombies.
It's also proof that, what's her name, Trinity, still hot.
Yeah. And then Delmer from Brother Where Art Thou Still Funny. All right, well, I think we're about to wrap up the Zombie Survival Panel. We appreciate everybody coming out. We do have, if you're interested in listening to the show, we do have some flyers up here. We also have, we're doing other panels this weekend. Today at 3, I believe in this same room, we will be having the next room over. In Palm 5, we'll be having a podcasting panel. And then tomorrow at 2, we're going to have what we call Deadliest Geek Warrior. And that's where we take, 2 people from comic books or movies or whatnot, debate over who would win in a fight. We actually have a CD of our Deadliest Geek Warrior.
Klingons versus Wookiees. Jack versus Green Lantern. Luke Skywalker versus Alan Scott, the original Green Lantern. Boba Fett versus Master Chief. Freddy Krueger versus the Ghostbusters. And Star Wars versus
Star Trek.
Or Star Trek.
CDs are cheap. They're only $5 if you're interested. Let me know. And like I said, there's flyers up here if you're interested in the show where you can find us. And we appreciate everybody coming out.
Also, one of the biggest keys to surviving is don't live in a big ass city.